I'm Corey Mesa, and you're watching Mesa Makes. Today on Mesa Makes, I'm going to show you how to get the look of stained wood using a process that takes about half the time and is a fraction of the cost.
The materials you're going to need are some wood, a torch, some spray lacquer, and a wire brush.
The project we're doing today does involve fire to allow that stained look. Make sure you have a way to put said fire out just in case, whether it's a fire extinguisher or in our case I'm just using the garden hose just in case you want to be ready to go. Also, a big tip is if you have somebody to watch for the fire, because you might be focusing on one little area and not realizing that the backside is actually up in flames. So make sure somebody's there to help you keep an eye on things.
So you're going to start with some clean wood, and what you're going to want to do is char the heck out of it. So what you see I'm doing here is getting a nice dark burn. If you notice when I first put that torch there, it kind of gives it a light toasted burn. If that's the look you're going for, go for it. Leave it there. No wire brushing is required. But I like the little dark look, and I like the way that the grain gets pitted once we take a wire brush to it. So what I'm doing is just hitting it nice and good with the torch and bringing out the darkness. You can see some of those edges are getting burned, and I'm just letting them go. It makes it look a little old, gives it that little vintage look, and will look real nice once we hit it with a wire brush. One thing to note while you are doing this is that this is burned wood. It will get on you. You will potentially get dirty, and you want to make sure that you have a way to clean that up, or you're wearing some clothes that you're not afraid to get dirty in. Those edges have been burning for a while, so you just give them a quick little puff of wind and you can blow those out once they get to the desired color you're looking for. Continue doing this to all the other sides. Make sure to blow out any flare-ups you have as you go. Be careful when you get to the inside. Remember, heat rises, so work your way from top to bottom. That way you don't overheat or preheat the stuff you're about to get to, because it will char and burn more than you want it to. Here's a close-up of the inside of the wood, and you can see how it gets burnt pretty quick. The piece on the right is more of a light burn. If that's what you want to go for, I wanted to show you that as well. So here's my fail for the video this week. This was, the original plan was to use the propane weed burner, and it got a little too hot, a little too quick. That box had some thin bottom pieces, and as you can see, it just went up in flames and would not go out. So I tried burning it again to get the moisture out, but it just wouldn't take it. So when I actually took a wire brush to it, it fell apart.
Alrighty guys, so this is a fully burned box. What you want to do when you are using this torch is pretty much char the whole thing. You'll see some people will do a nice light burn. You want to go and char it, because what we're going to do next is grab our wire brush, and we're going to actually start wiping that char off. And you can see a nice grain pattern start to appear.
When we wire brush this wood, you want to make sure that your bristles are perpendicular to the grain of the wood and you move parallel with the grain of the wood. It's very important that you do this, otherwise you will pit the wood a lot more than you actually want to, and that grain just pretty much disappears. Be careful when you wire brush the inside. The tendency will be to just move it around and clean it up, but you will end up messing that grain pattern up, so be careful. After you brush it out, be sure to wipe it down with a paper towel just to get all the debris out. Once it's cleaned up, go to a well-ventilated area where you can spray paint and go ahead and spray your lacquer on. Remember, be about 2 to 3 inches away, constantly moving as you're spraying till you don't have any runs. Yeah, I know it's clear, but it'll still run onto the wood. And here are the final products. You're gonna wanna put that lacquer on so the charred bits don't get on your fingers or anything else.
A couple things to know before you do this process yourself. Make sure you have a way to test the wood out before you actually do it. I have done these boxes quite a few times now using the big propane torch that you saw in my little goof video, and it has a very good heat index. It puts out a lot of heat. However, sometimes it's a little too much, and on that specific day with that box I had, it just charred the whole thing a little more than I wanted to, and by the time I got a chance to put a wire brush to it, it was so thin that it blew out and nothing was going to be able to be held in those boxes. So be sure you have something, that little Bernzomatic torch allows you to control the heat a little bit better, so make sure you go ahead and have something that has that capability. So this is a fun little project I like to do to make things look a little old or vintage. These boxes are actually going to be used, I'm getting married in a couple days, and we're going to use these to put some flowers in to make some little arrangements. I use this process in my class all the time. I have about 100 kids in my introductory shop class, and stain not only can get expensive, but it gets everywhere, and we don't really have a good place to stain, but we have a good place to spray some clear coat or some lacquer, and the kids like the look of it, and it's a lot more cost effective. So I can burn, 20, 30 boxes at a time versus having each kid stain individually, so it's a little more cost effective in that aspect. All in all, it's a pretty cheap little project you can get going for yourself if you want to do this exactly. It's not too cheap. The boxes run $13 at Joann's Fabric. If you have the tools, obviously it's going to be a little cheaper. That Bernzomatic torch runs about $54, $55 at the big hardware stores. The little wire brush, you can get a 3-pack of them at Harbor Freight for about $6, I believe. And the paint, or the lacquer, sorry, is about $2 a can, $3 a can, something like that. So fairly cheap project. If you buy this and you want to do this on a lot of your projects, once you have the tools, obviously it'll be a lot cheaper. So that does it here. So that does it for me here at Mesa Makes. Remember, it's not about having time, it's about making time. Thanks.